Here is one of the great tragic and enraged videos of Adept's play. It refers to the final session of The Mountain Witch, which we played in mid-December. And despite the extraordinary session, due, I think, either to my incompetence or to OBS updates, the recording was borked, leading to screams of rage. Well, I gathered the crew during the final week or so of December, and we had a recap session where we more or less just relived the session through reflection and spun off into a couple of heartfelt, takes on the system and insights spread all through the group in different ways about different things. And it was a wonderful example too of everybody listening to one another and demonstrating their enjoyment of having played the game with one another, as well as filling you in on what happened in the words of the people who had done it. And that recording did not work. Since then, OBS has gone through a few more updates, which are, corrective updates, and things seem to be back on track, but I was just gutted. I mean, I really cared about that game, and especially that session just sang, and I really, really wanted everybody to see it. It just, the whole thing, all 5 sessions would have just been astonishing. All right, that's enough of that. I'm going to do my little best now just to tell you a bit about it so that the record is complete. And if I seem a little neutral or over-controlled, it's because I would otherwise be throwing heavy things, even now, a month later. All right. What then are we talking about? We had our 4 ronin, and 2 of them were at the base of the mountain, which is fortress, one having just killed the other in a duel. And that would be Tagachi, the young man who had run off from a betrothal and had found that his lover, the woman that he did love, was here on the mountain, and they had not really. I mean, it was really a big mess. You saw it at the end of session 4, probably, that they were completely emotionally tangled up in all sorts of terrible ways, and we learned that Itosama, the female ronin, was actually the woman that he had been betrothed to, and she was sworn vengeance upon him for disgracing her and her family by fleeing the marriage. But it was interesting because, as you saw, Itosama had tried repeatedly to try to get an idea of where Tagachi was coming from, and in particular, in seeing that he wouldn't even let the woman go when she wanted to get away from him, due to the doomed circumstances of their love, but he wouldn't even let her do that, or let her, and prevented her from killing herself, and so she is wounded in this duel. Now I say that Tagachi killed her, but as you saw, she actually committed jigai and killed herself. And so what we have left there is Tagachi and his girlfriend. And then we have Kisaragi and Unodomo, who have gone into the mountain witch's fortress, and they have just realized that the 2 of them really have their own agendas there. In particular, Kisaragi is, saying, I'm here. I've fulfilled my side of things. Let me up. And so the 2 of them work their way up through the fortress very easily, right? There's no obstacles. There's no foes. They get up to the top, to this frozen weird garden with, stone lanterns and stuff like that in this courtyard up there. And it's all snowy, of course. And one thing I kind of liked was that I had little household demons. There's little household supernatural objects in Japanese mythology. The items of the house become haunted and start running around doing things. And they're kind of mischievous or malevolent. They're not necessarily very nice. And so I had, the objects moving around and sort of acting like, evil little versions of Disney animated household objects. Well, that's going on. But the important point is that Unodomo it was clear that, members of his family had tried to come here too, in seeking him, and they have all come to horrible grief. And so you end up with the spiritual owl, landing, at the doors to the mountain witch's sanctum, next to this part of the courtyard, and summoning basically Unodomo's brother, who's been, who is this resplendent samurai who has come to fetch his brother. And I sort of enjoyed this because I played the brother as actually wanting Unodomo to come home. More or less all is forgiven, as if only you'll, be good, submit. Unodomo is having none of it, and they have a dreadful battle in which Unodomo would be victorious, except that Kisaragi backstabs him. And so there we see the betrayal of trust, and Unodomo had actually given a fair amount of trust to Kisaragi before going into the fortress together, before he realized Kisaragi's pact with the witch. So the timing on this was absolutely perfect. I mean, and so basically, the brother has been killed, and that's when Kisaragi backstabs Unodomo. Unodomo, falls over with his, the blade in his back, and the owl, basically dies, right? So the whole family, like, spiritually, dies because of this. And Kisaragi's ready to talk to the witch now. He says, now I've paid the price you demanded. I've brought you a life. So that's going on up there. Meanwhile, Tagachi and his partner, who basically is saying, yes, let's, after this, I'll never want to see you again. And he right now, he's actually kind of respecting the woman who died more than his lover. He's going through all sorts of crazy pinballing emotions. And he, informs her, I'm killing the witch. I'm killing the witch. I came here to do that. I'm killing the witch. And then after that, we're done. So the two of them now are kind of like in hate rather than in love. And they have to fight their way up, right? There's all kind of obstacles. There's Oni demons and all sorts of things. And Tagachi is just maddened. And what's cool, of course, is that there was trust between Tagachi and Ito-sama. And so Helma is perfectly capable of using trust to help, to spend trust to help Tagachi, which she's doing. And it's important too, because Tagachi has actually taken Ito-sama's katana. And so, the soul of the samurai. And so she's kind of, with him in spirit. Now, we don't really play that literally. It's all Tagachi's emotions and memories that are being played. But of course, they're being played quantitatively and narratively by Helma. So this is pretty cool. We're getting sort of a dual play of this ronin. And he slaughters, everything on the way up. There's just a butchery of, demon limbs everywhere. And just he shows up and he is just a mess and is furious, with old Toshiro Mifune eyes going on. And before we deal with what happens when Tagachi gets here, what goes on with Kisaragi and the witch? The Mountain Witch, I've decided to play as a young nobleman dressed very much like at the royal court of the Mikado, and kind of normal looking, except that He's all very pale. The colors are all there, but they're very, very pastel. Um, well, wait, no. The inner sanctum is like that. You open it up, and there's all this bright light, and everything in there is this real pale version of reality, otherwise very normal looking. The witch is actually perfectly normal looking, except that his front is open, like from about here down to the navel. It's just this open body, so you can see all the organs, and they're all lit up and pale like that too. So, creepy deepy, right? And everybody's enjoying this imagery. I'm making it up. I'm thoroughly enjoying this version of the Mountain Witch that has come to my mind. And the Mountain Witch is ready for the deal. What Kisaragi wants is he wants a new life. He wants to be far away. He wants to have a new life with the privileges of a samurai, the role of a samurai, with no connection to anything that he's done. He wants a whole new start. Poof. Way out there. And the witch can do this, of course. This is the Mountain Witch. He wants Kisaragi's katana. And this actually makes a lot of sense to me, because we're talking about the soul of the samurai. You want to be a new samurai? Fine, give me the old soul. I want that one. And Nathan kind of winces a little bit during play at this point. He thought he'd done it just by killing his teammate, and now he's kind of like, well, the trouble is, it makes horrible sense. Of course the witch would want, the katana. And so he kind of swallows hard and gives it to the witch, and he gets his wish. Kisaragi's gone. Done. And that's, it's there's the witch standing there in this, icy cold, beautiful, surreal, courtyard. And that's how Tagachi appears, or when Tagachi appears. And there's the body of Unodomo, horribly and pathetically, dead in the courtyard. Body of his brother, partly beneath him, they're dead as doornails in samurai splatter. And the witch is standing there. Now, this led to sort of an interesting detail. The Mountain Witch is not supposed to be a big boss. So you do not have like extra dice or bonuses or anything. There are lots of ways to make opponents more dangerous, mainly by treating them as multiple opponents. And then also like how strong are they, right? They can be weak or able or strong. So anyway, I decided that the Mountain Witch, it's not about fighting the witch. You can, how is this going to work? And so I'm just treating it as, well, we will have an ordinary fight. It's not going to be special. He's not going to suddenly grow 20 feet tall. He's not going to sprout tentacles. There's, let's just do this. And so here is where Helma spends the last of her trust points. And Tagachi basically just goes into like total super formal samurai duel mode and cuts the witch down. Just completely like perfect samurai move, slash. The guy's just dead. And the Mountain Witch is destroyed, leaving Tagachi with the soul, basically, the symbolic soul of the woman whose death he caused, whom he had, contracted with for marriage and had left without ever having met, with in hate with the woman that he left her for, who's determined, now they can get off the mountain and she's never going to see him again. He's a ronin. He's never going back to his old life. And he's left with this, disruptive vengeance against his family that he wanted the money for, and that's all he's got. Nothing else. The romance of his existence is gone. And in many ways, he's kind of haunted, by Itosama more than anything else. Anyway, so we really, everybody, threw in to all the mechanics, got to see the betrayal, got to see the help, and Itosama actually, being helpful in character terms. I should say her essence being helpful following her death. to get Tagachi through. And Helma was saying that she was actually kind of all for the betrayal of Tagachi, during the fight with the witch. That she was, thinking of knocking down his, his score with the betrayal points. But then it suddenly occurred to her that for multiple conflicting reasons, both punishment and sorrow, that it made more sense to just take him straight through that victory, with the bonuses. And it was a fine example, I think, on her part, but on everybody's part, thinking about what they wanted to do in the moment. I mean, Kisaragi didn't have to fulfill the vow to the witch. He could have defied the witch and just said, okay, no, screw the pact. I'm going to kill you with my buddy. So all the options were there. And it's very much not a paint by numbers, wind up and then watch it click down to the end sort of game. Very dynamic, very heavy on judgment, and heavy on emotional commitment to what you're doing right then. And I really hope that some of the people who participated will provide comments and help to try to recover repeated attempts to share this with you.